Well, I thought I'd start off with a little update. First off, I'm not going to say, hey guys, it's Farmall, because I have my intro. I decided that this winter I would attach the wood stove shed, which you saw in a previous video, that used to be sitting outside. I had a blower that blew the air from the house into the building, and then the hot air from the wood stove came back into the house. And that worked okay, but the blower's getting kind of tired, and I think I'd get more heat out of it if it was attached. But technically this is not attached. The only thing that is holding it against the house is this bead of caulk. It is completely freestanding, and it's raining out, or I would take you outside and show you. It's sitting on some telephone poles that I cut off, and it leans ever so slightly towards the house so that it stays tight against the house, and it's fairly solid. I got it braced up pretty good. And this caulk seals it to the house, and then there's a rubber strip that's adhesive, and I also stapled it so that the adhesive wouldn't pull away, that's around this seam on the outside to shed the water away. And then this is the actual the original building, and then these I added to it to make the face of the building a little larger to mesh up against the house. And these three boards here are actually in place to replace these boards. There was two windows in here, and the wood stove was a little bit too small to fill the whole gap, so I took the windows out, and then I replaced it with these three boards to fill in this extra space that was too wide. And then down here, that space I also filled in with boards. That's where the blower, one of the ducts went out. The other duct actually came back in right in this area. This window was shorter, and then there was a small window underneath that slid open. This upper window here and this whole window here were just single panes of glass, and they didn't open. And this small window slid open. Well, I took that out to put the duct in. But anyway, it's coming along. I have to get the stove in there, and I'm going to change those actually open, because that was how you used to get in to put the wood in the fire. I actually took the back wall off from the shed. I'm going to permanently affix the one, and I'm going to hinge it in the center instead of hinging it on both sides like it is now. I think I get a better seal on it, and then I'll be able to put firewood in there, so you don't have to carry it all the way around the house, because my wood is out on that side of the house. But anyway, that's the first update. And the second thing is, I recently picked up a couple goodies, so we will see what I got. I picked up this chassis, and this turntable, and these speakers from a console similar to this one. I've got pictures of it. I'll put them up now. And it was free. It was alongside the road at a pawn shop, and it had a sign on it, free. And I brought this one home in the car. There's a video about that. And so I thought, well, I had the wood for that project in the car, so I couldn't put the console in there. So I came home and I thought, well, the next morning, maybe if it's still there, I'll load it in the car. So I measured this one, because I know this one fit in the trunk. And I got there, and that one is actually slightly shorter. It was a little bit deeper, and it was about a foot longer, but it wouldn't fit, because as you can see, this has legs underneath it, so there's an empty space. And when I put this one in the car, I tucked that leg into the trunk, and it fit right in, but I couldn't get that one in there. So I left it. Told my boss about it. When I got out of work, he said, well, if it's still there, I'll take it up to my house, because all I wanted was the guts out of it anyway. I didn't need another cabinet. So anyway, this is what we've got, and it's a Montgomery Ward AM/FM stereo tube receiver. It's got a pair of EL84s or 6BQ5 output tubes for one channel. Now this is actually a stereo front end and a mono back end. And you got the stereo amp, says input, but actually this goes to this chassis, which is the other channel. But what's confusing to me is this is a pair of 6 BQ5s push-pull, And this is only one, a single-ended 6BQ5. They're all branded the same. They're made in France tube. It says WG on it. I would assume maybe it's an A. No, it says WG. But I would assume that they're original to the set. I haven't pulled any of the other tubes out. But this chassis had some leakage out of the one transformer. And I'm not positive if it's any good. The power cord was cut. And obviously this is... There's a power cord. And obviously this is not the correct chassis for that cabinet. But what was in the cabinet is the service manual, and that's what the cabinet is supposed to look like. It's a mono cabinet, and this amplifier has a jack on it, 1/4 inch jack, which I would assume connected to another cabinet that looks similar to this on the other side of the room, or you'd set them side by side or whatever. But this is actually quite nice. This is the original service manual. It's got all the information you need to fix it up. It's got the schematic. It's got alignment information for the AM and FM receivers, and parts lists and everything. There's a picture of the two chassis. It even shows you how to wind the dial cord, because the dial cord is broken. And this is the turntable that was in the unit, which is not what is called for in this book. So I'm not positive if this was original to this unit, or if somebody replaced it, or if this is original to the cabinet. But it did come with the original Garrard Model 3000 4-speed record changer paper that would have been sitting on here, which is kind of neat. I've never seen one of these. It's got all the information about how to work the record player, and I would guess that that was right on top of the record player, since it has a hole in it. And of course it got the speakers, and you'll see that they're not a matched set. The tweeters are different, the mid-ranges are different, and the woofers are different. And these are not the speakers that were in the cabinet. At least one set of them is not. So I don't know if the other set is what would have been in the original radio or what. But anyway, moving on. I don't know if this works or not. Probably gonna just store it away for now. I mean, it was free, so I don't really need it. But we are gonna take the guts out of this console and get rid of the cabinet, because I don't have any room for it. I rearranged my house and it's crowded enough in here, and so we'll be pulling the guts out of that in a little bit farther. But I have something else to show that we'll get to next. I picked this up yesterday at Salvation Army. It must have been in a garage sale because it's marked $10, but I got it for $4.99. This is a Lin combustion analyzer for service and furnaces. I think it's all here. It's got the stack. This is a stack probe. It measures temperature, as well as it's an input for the combustion gases. And there's also a this is called a hydro gauge. It basically, you fill this with water. It's a inches of H2O gauge. Just measures the pressure of the gas coming in to make sure that you got enough gas. There's a brand new pad of heating system evaluation papers, as well as all the original charts, the smoke chart. This one has holes in it, and inside here, inside this little slot, you loosen the screw up and put a disc inside that slot, which I know there is some. There they are. Take one of those little white discs and you put it inside that slot, and as this, there's a vacuum pump inside here, and as it draws the air or the combustion gases through the inlet, and they actually exhaust out here, it sucks it through that filter, and it'll leave a black patch on there, or not, depending. And you just cross it with, you just line it up with which one of these, ever one of these is matches to, and it gives you that number. Now this does smoke and temperature, and it'll also do percent of oxygen. There's an oxygen sensor in here, and it's no good. I guess they're only good for like 3 or 4 years. But other than that, the unit functions perfectly well. The temperature works. I put it in the burner on the gas stove, and the needle came right up to like 500 degrees. And the vacuum pump works. It does draw the gas through the unit, but you get no deflection when you put it on the oxygen scale. And I pulled the oxygen sensor out of here, and it's all corroded, and it's probably no good. So I don't know if you can get one. I tried doing a little search online. The company that makes this, I believe, is still in business, but I couldn't find a web page, and the only web page I found was for a different Lin manufacturing company, and they obviously don't sell parts for this. So I'll need to do a little searching, see if I can get an O2 sensor for it if I want to use it. But I figure for $5, even if it's just the parts. It's got a really nice little vacuum pump in it that runs on, I'm not sure. It is transformer down, and I thought that this had batteries in it that charged with this. And it doesn't say what the voltage is. Well, yes it does. 12 volts DC. 12 volts DC at 400 milliamps. So it runs on 12 volts. But I thought that there was batteries in here, and then maybe this charged it, because there's a spot that says battery okay. But there is no batteries in there. Nor is there any way to test the battery if there was. There's nothing missing inside. So I'd assume that it never had batteries. But it is a model 6100 Lin Products Company. So for $5, it's pretty nice, I thought. So anyway, I guess I'm going to move on to taking the guts out of this and getting the cabinet out of here, so I got a little bit more room. I'll catch up with you in a minute or so. Alright, well, we've got it apart. This is the changer. It's a Garrard as well, but this arm is broken off, the secondary arm, and that was missing when I got it. Here's just some of the screws and stuff, and these two copper plated brackets. This one I don't know what it's for. This one holds the one end of the chassis. And here's the chassis. It is copper plated. It's got the FM tuner here with the dial drive. There's the output transformers. Here's the power tubes. They're kind of weird. They're bigger than I've seen. They're $76.95, and they look just like the sub miniatures, only they're bigger. But they do have the 9 pins on them. I've never seen any like that for outputs, but I'm not sure how many watts it is. I was able to keep the model label and tube layout diagram that was on the back of the cabinet. It was on the back of the record holder. And of course I've got the faceplate and the dials, and I saved the wooden face because it has the labels on it for the controls if I ever want to put it in some other cabinet. Save that. And here's the speakers. There's only one. I think it's a 12-inch woofer. And then you got two 5 inches and two 3 inches, or 2 4s and 3s, something like that. Mid-range and tweeter. And it's kind of weird how this is hooked up. This is a stereo amp. I'm assuming that those are single-ended. They may be a dual element tube. I'm not positive. No, they look like they're just one element inside there, one amplifier. So they would be single-ended 7695s for the output. And these are a pain in the neck to get back in there. But anyway, they're 7695s for the output. And there's two transformers, left and right, obviously. God, this is a pain in the neck. There. But it's weird how it's hooked up. So I drew me a little diagram. And basically, you got each set of these, a tweeter and a mid-range for left and for right, and they're connected up to these two transformers, left and right. There's a little crossover unit here, and the main woofer, the 12-inch, is basically connected between the two transformers, so it's like a difference. Any difference in the left and right for bass gets amplified out the woofer, which is kind of strange instead of just putting another woofer in there. But I don't know, that's the way they did it. So anyway, that's been stripped apart. I may keep the speaker panels. The grill cloth is in fairly decent shape, and I did keep the grill cloths and speaker panels from the other console, even though the speakers don't match. And I'll probably keep the back panel masonite, at least cut the center out where the model number and everything is on there. But it might be nice to hang on to that because it's already drilled for vents, and if you ever have a tube radio or something that needs it back, you could use the masonite for that. But anyway, that's where we're at. It's kind of a rainy, miserable day out, so we can't work outside. But anyway, thanks for watching, and hopefully there'll be some more updates shortly.